Katelyns and welcome to Costa Rica. As you guys have already seen from the b-roll that I have done so far, I'm currently in Costa Rica and I will be reading this week in Costa Rica as well. So this week I'm basically just going to be showing you guys what I'm doing in Costa Rica, talking about it a little bit, and then also talking about what books I am reading while I am here. But first, a little tour of the Airbnb. On the first floor we have our main living space, our kitchen, and our living room, but this is in Costa Rica, so a lot of things are half indoor, half outdoor. So we have our living room that opens up to the pool and the driveway, the kitchen. All of it is one space, and I think that's so cool. Honestly, it is beautiful, beautiful weather here. It is the rainy season, so it's a little bit wet, but besides that, like, the fact that you can just be outside all the time is kind of amazing. And then upstairs, this is the room where me and my husband are staying, and then there's 3 other rooms where the rest of my family members are staying. These are all climate controlled areas. That is what the Airbnb looks like, but let me talk to you a little bit about what I have read so far. Yesterday was a really long travel day for us, so because of that I got to read quite a bit, and I gotta get it out, hang on. In that time I read the entirety of Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I am so excited that I finally got to this book. This has been on my main list to read forever, and as you guys know, it was on my 25 and 2025. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 or 3.75 stars. I liked it and love it. I found our main character to be a little bit annoying. I get that she was supposed to be living in La La Land a little bit, but when the main quote-unquote conflict happened, I just felt like that could have been so easily avoidable, and I was just kind of like, this is really unnecessary, and I kind of wish that this book didn't necessarily have a third act conflict at all. I'm glad that I got this book done, and that is that. As I said, I read the entirety of this thing yesterday, so July 1st, got my first book done. That felt good. I'm also currently reading a couple books at the same time. So on my Kindle, I'm reading Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. And so far, I'm really liking it. I think I'm about 35% of the way done with the book. And I think it's really interesting to see the mix of fantasy and science at the same time. And just the concept of people who tend to be ostracized a little bit coming into power and like what that looks like. And I'm really liking it. I'm not like completely dead set, can't put the book down kind of thing. But the writing style, I love. Honestly, it's honestly a little bit refreshing to read a fantasy that doesn't necessarily feel like you're reading a fantasy. I mean, it does feel like you're reading fantasy. How do I say this? It feels like you're reading a fantasy, but the writing style doesn't feel like typical fantasy prose. And so for that reason, it's actually been really fun and really refreshing to read. So I will keep you guys updated on how I am liking that as I continue to go through it. I'm reading a lot of books at the same time right now. I'm also reading Northern Juror Abbey by Jane Austen. Technically, this was on my June TBR, but I didn't get to it, so I started it yesterday, I think, on the plane, and I am on page 50. And honestly, I really just love being in Jane Austen's mind, in her world, reading her writing. I think reading Persuasion earlier this year, that is the book that made me into an actual Jane Austen fan, instead of being like, I like the idea of Jane Austen, but I didn't necessarily always like reading her work. Honestly, I may reread Pride and Prejudice because I don't feel like I gave that one a fair shot, because it was my first Jane Austen book ever, and so I was having a harder time just getting into her prose in general. But yeah, so far I'm liking this one. I don't know if anything is going to top Persuasion for me. For some reason, I just really loved that book, so yeah, we'll see. And then the last thing that I am reading, and the one that I'm kind of focusing on the most, is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. You guys saw me choose this for my July TBR. I'm literally like 5 pages in, guys, and I love these characters so much. I missed these characters. I didn't even realize it until the first couple lines, and I was like, oh, wait, this is amazing. I really love this series, and just like seeing like Shadow and Emily and Wendell again, I'm just like, this is fantastic and I love it. I missed this world so much, and I cannot wait to see what kind of mischief they get into with this. So this is the main book that you guys will see me reading this week while I'm in Costa Rica. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I don't really have any thoughts on it because, again, I'm only 5 pages in, so not really much to say, but I'm glad that you guys are here. And yeah, we're gonna have a really fun week, so buckle in, get ready for a lot of beautiful b-roll. We'll see you guys in a little bit. The backlighting is terrible. Now it's just dark. Hello. It has been a couple days since I've talked to you guys. I didn't talk to you guys at all yesterday. And as you can see, I haven't exactly made it very far in my book either. I'm only on page 54 right now, which is not very far. I was honestly hoping to be a little bit further by now, but that is okay because we are having a fantastic time here in Costa Rica. Yesterday we did a rainforest tour and we got to see sloths and monkeys and snakes and poisonous moths and all the cool things that are here in Costa Rica. And we also went ziplining yesterday, which was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's been raining like the whole time that we're here because we did come during the rainy season. So we haven't actually been able to see near as much of the mountains and volcanoes and stuff because everything is just covered in this really thick layer of clouds. So yesterday, for the first time, we got to see the volcano that is apparently right outside of the Airbnb where we are staying, which is really cool. I'll show you guys a picture of it. So we have been having so much fun and we've been super busy and I haven't had that much time to read. I tried to read a little bit at night before I go to bed, but I'm so exhausted that I just fall asleep really quickly, so I haven't gotten that much reading done. But tomorrow we have a really long drive, so I'm hoping to get some more reading done tomorrow on that drive and also at the beach that we're going to. So anyway, I'm hoping to finish this book before the plane ride because on the plane ride I want to read Good is Dead by Holly Jackson. I also have not read any more of Blood Over Brighthaven, which is a library book, so I really need to get a move on this one because I've already accepted another library book on my Kindle that I have to get through in the next probably 2 weeks. I gotta bust a move on this one too, so I don't know how I'm going to finish all of these books and do all of these activities at the same time, but we're gonna try. I will hopefully update you guys either later today or tomorrow during the drive and let you know how things are going. Until then, we are going to be doing a jungle river float safari today, which is going to be super fun, and hopefully we'll get to see some more monkeys and stuff. As far as what is actually going on in the book, again, I'm only 54 pages in, so not very much has happened. They're about to leave to go on their adventure, their quest to go do what they need to do, which I can't tell you what it is because this is the sequel and it would spoil the ending of the first one. You'll have to read it to find out what they're doing. There's a new character that has been introduced as Emily's niece, and we haven't gotten to know her super well yet, but I think that she's going to end up being a very important character in the story, and so I'm excited about that. As I told you guys before, honestly, I'm just so excited to be back in this world and back with these characters, and I honestly think that reading this book in a magical place like Costa Rica is even more magical than it would be if I was just like reading it at home on my couch. So those are all my updates for now. I will talk to you guys as soon as I can. And hopefully I will have read enough of this book that I can give you a proper update on what is happening and how I am liking it past the first 100 pages. Back to reality, I'm afraid. So I am very clearly back from my trip, and I do have a few updates for you guys. First of all, as you guys know, I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter while I was there, and I already kind of gave you guys my thoughts on this one. I have not really changed my opinion of this book since I read it in the days following. It was a little bit forgettable to me. This is one of the romance books that a lot of people really love and there's a lot of hype behind it. And I personally think that it was really cute. I definitely don't think it was a bad book. And I might even still say that it's worth a read as a YA romance, but I just kind of felt like it was a little bit forgettable. I didn't absolutely love these characters or this story. So I think I'm gonna stick with a very mid rating, probably around like a 3.5. I just don't necessarily think that it's anything that I'm going to be thinking about long term. And then, as you guys probably figured by my lack of talking clips while I was actually in Costa Rica, we got very, very busy and I didn't have as much time to read as I wanted to. And even on the times when we were driving down a lot of very curvy mountain roads. And so reading on those curvy mountain roads was not ideal. So I didn't get to finish this book before we left Costa Rica, but I did finish it on the plane home. And I honestly really thought that this was a fantastic book. I just really love the whole Emily Wilde's vibe and the story and the characters. The way that the folk work in this story, I think is just really, really fun premise. And I absolutely love Emily and Wendell's dynamic. They're so polar opposite and they just really bring out the worst and also the best in one another, and it's fantastic and I love it. This is like the heart of cozy fantasy for me. In this story, they are continuing the quest that they kind of found out about and set off together in the last book and doing. And at the end of this book, it wasn't necessarily like this big dramatic crazy last 100 pages. I honestly kind of felt like the middle was the most exciting part, at least for me. But the ending of this book really set it up nicely for the last book in the series, and I'm so excited to read that, knowing where this one left off. But unfortunately, I am waiting for the Barnes & Noble exclusive paperback edition to come out in this book so I can have the matching set, and I don't know when that is going to be. So unless I get it from Libby or something, then I'm not necessarily going to be reading the third book anytime soon, which is a little sad, but I have plenty of other books to occupy my time until then. I think I'm going to land on a 4.25 star for this one. I don't like it quite as much as the first book, and that's not even necessarily because I don't think that this story is as good as the first book. I just think the nostalgia and the initial love that I had for the characters and the setting and the surprise that I had in liking that book so much makes it a little bit more favorable in my eyes. But again, I really, really love this book. So if you like cozy fantasy and you have not read any of the Emily Wilde series, what are you doing? This needs to be very high on your reading list. And then I told you guys that I was going to try to read Good as Dead on the plane ride home. I actually spent most of my plane ride home reading the rest of the Emily Wilde book, so I didn't get to start this one at all, and I still haven't started it since I got home. We'll see if I get to this one, but I definitely did not get to it on this trip. Then lastly, I don't have it with me right now because it's on my Kindle, but I continued reading Blood Over Brighthaven. I think I'm at like 72% right now in this book, and oh my goodness, this book is so good. If you don't know, Blood Over Brighthaven is a standalone fantasy, and it is about this city where their magic system is not based on people who have magical abilities or don't have magical abilities. Magic is something that can be learned by people, and so there is the really high scholarly people who spend their life dedicated to creating spells that power the rest of the city and the society that they're in. So all of the trains that move, the running water, the electricity, all of that is powered by these spells. And they write these spells on what's called a spellograph, which is basically like a fancy typewriter with like a giant, almost like window or mirror attached to the back of it where you can see your spell web. And it's so creative. I love the magic system in this. It's so creative. It's so good. I honestly really feel like this book is really something special, and I'm not sure if the rest of this author's books have the same vibe. I only know of one other book that she has written, and I am definitely putting that on my want to read list after reading this one, because I really feel like this book is so high quality in the writing and in the plotting and the storytelling. I think it's going to be hard for me to go back to books that maybe are not structured in a similar fashion to this book. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a 5-star, but it's definitely going to be in the high 4-star range. And it's definitely a book that I'm going to be telling all of my friends and family to read if they are interested in fantasy. Anyway, so my plan as of now is to not necessarily let you guys go yet. I want to finish Blood Over Brighthaven and give you guys my final thoughts on that that before this video ends. So we're going to read a little bit now, and then when I finish the book, I will let you guys know, and we will talk about my final thoughts on it. Good morning. I finished Blood Over Brighthaven last night, and that book was so chaotic at the end. The ending of the book definitely fit the vibe of the book, but it was not the way that I necessarily thought it would go or envisioned it going. And that's not even necessarily a positive or a negative thing. I was surprised, and maybe that's not necessarily the direction that I was wanting the story to take, but that doesn't mean that it was a bad direction that the story took. I definitely think it fit the vibe and the purpose of the book. I actually think that the ending for me knocked down like my rating a little bit. So I think I'm going to keep this one at a 4.5, which is still really, really high. Obviously, I still really, really loved this book, but I'm keeping it at 4.5 for two reasons. One, there were a couple of points where I just really wasn't reaching for this book and I wanted to read other books instead. And part of that was because I was reading Emily Wilde at the same time I was reading Blood Over Brighthaven. So of course I wanted to read Emily Wilde super, super badly. So that's the one that I was reaching towards more. But I also didn't necessarily have an urge to pick up Blood Over Brighthaven as well. So I lowered it a little bit for that reason. And then like I said before, the ending was good. I don't know how to say this. The ending was good. It just didn't necessarily satisfy me in the way that I wanted to be satisfied with the end of the story. Yeah, that's that. I would still recommend it, but that is it for Blood Over Brighthaven. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this vlog. This was a little bit different for me and definitely out of my comfort zone to be filming in places other than in my home. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a fantastic time in Costa Rica and I had a great time reading all of the books that I did while I was gone. Thank you for watching. If you want to leave a comment down below, let me know if you have read any of the books that I read in this video, or if you've been to Costa Rica, tell me where you visited in Costa Rica and what your favorite part of it was. Thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next time.